evening, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been crazy in this world, and I took the summer off, but I'm so glad you are tuning into the live or the replay. I have a new season of book chats, and you can find this live and replay on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I took the summer break, but I'm so glad to be back tonight with a very special author. If you are tuning in from the Alice Keeler Teacher Tech community, I want to give you a shout out. This book that I'm talking about tonight with our author is great for classroom libraries as well as your home. It's back to school season, and I could not think of a better book author and publisher to open the new season of chats than with Kashama Leo-Henry. Kashama joined me last year with her first book, Daddies and Uncles and More Oh My. Then Abigail Edmonds joined me this past spring with Sandcastle Books' second release, I Can, Just Not Like You. And tonight I welcome back this incredible woman, author, and publisher with her third release from Sandcastle Books and the second one that she's authored, You Have a Friend in Me. This book is told through prose and addresses exceptionalities in young people. Representation matters, and these beautiful illustrations help draw the audience in. And how often does someone with autism, ADHD, Down syndrome, or dyslexia see themselves highlighted in a story where they shine? Kashama, it has been such a pleasure to have you on again tonight. How are you doing in this crazy world?
Hi, Melody. I'm so excited. And once again, thank you so much for having me here tonight. I'm doing great. What could I say? It's the beginning of the new school year. The babies are back in school, and I'm just rolling every day, every day. It's really hectic, but it's been fun.
Yes, and you are a mom of three?
A mom of two. So I have a 10-year-old Kalia. She's the girl, and a 4-year-old son, Carter.
And is one of Kalia, is she who you dedicated your book to?
Yeah, so the first book was actually dedicated to both of my babies. That is an Uncles and More, oh my. And the second book, You Have a Friend in Me, Kalia, she inspired that story as well.
Oh, okay. So this is awesome. And I do you really, these are great conversation starters. What was your inspiration for those? And I did drop the other two, and I'll drop them again. I dropped our previous chats, the one with you and then the one with Abigail, who is an author in your publishing company,
Yes,
Sandcastle Books.
yes.
So tell me, what was the inspiration behind You Have a Friend in Me?
So, Mel, if you could recall in the very first book, Daddies and Uncles and More, oh my, there was a special page dedicated to all the granddaddies, right? And one sentence in there, it says, Granddaddy always saves the day, whether he is near or far away. A role model that I look up to, he taught me how to be kind and true. So, this is Lily, the main character, right? She was narrating the story. And kindness is really dear to Lily's heart. If you know Kalia, she is kind, she is patient, she has such a big heart. So when I first published That is Uncle Simone My, of course I got lots of feedback from especially the women saying, oh my God, Kashama, this book is great. But you need to make a book dedicated to moms. And I received the feedback and it's still on my to-do list. But because kindness is something that is so dear to Lily, and because of my work experiences, I serve children from different backgrounds, and one of those backgrounds is children with exceptionalities. My children have invisible disabilities. So I think it was really important to feature those wonderful boys and girls in a very special way because I say to my kids every day, we all have special capabilities, right? Everyone is unique in their own way. So differences definitely should never take kindness away.
That's right. And just looking at this cover, it's so inviting.
It
I know
is.
that any young child would want to pick it up. I read it with my girls, and it's inviting. The illustrations are, and like you said, there are invisible disabilities. It doesn't take away the necessity to be kind or
Right,
the ability to be kind, and just to,
right,
to create allies. And it starts conversation even with very young students. And also the way you've told it through rhyme is another great thing. We were clapping with every rhyme, which
right.
helps. also introduce the vocabulary, which you put at the very end. I got to
Right.
show this. You made a glossary of excellent words.
Hmm. I
So
did.
I would just say, I give this book, I will rate it to 5 stars. I
Thank
loved it. I
you.
loved it because it's a good learning tool. It's great for social emotional learning, and just a way to have that conversation and start that conversation with young people, and also to let them know that if they do have one of these exceptionalities, they are beautiful, they are worthy of love and
Right.
kindness and friendship. And I just love that in
Exactly.
this
This
story.
is it, worthy of friendship. And Mel, I think it's so important to just bring awareness, especially in the early years, so that young children could have an acceptance of diversity and they could learn about how wonderful, especially children with exceptionalities, they are. They have so many unique abilities. When you think about multiple intelligences,
Mhm.
we all perform in different ways, but we get it done. That's
Mhm.
the uniqueness of us all.
Right. And when you introduce this conversation with young people, it helps them to, articulate it better than when they grow up. It gets them out of this bubble where they don't know that life is different for others. And so, around them in their community, and it just helps them to be more empathetic. And I think this is definitely a book for the times. And you you are a publisher of Sandcastle Books. Is this your third book?
It is. It's my third book in the past year. So we actually celebrated our first year anniversary in March of this year. And I'm like, oh my God, we published 3 books in 1 year. So this is really fulfilling, and we really stand on a message that representation matters. And this is why our stories represent inclusion, it represents acceptance, it represents diversity. And you and I know, especially children of color, they're not being represented in books when compared to the counterparts. So it's important that they see themselves in stories of today. And we have an opportunity to change that narrative, and that's exactly what we're doing right now.
Yes. Kudos to you. Congratulations on so much success. And I'm going to put this up. If you want to find any of Kashama's books, you can go to sandcastlebook.com. It's Sandcastle Books, but it's just Sandcastle Book. And did I yes, right?
You're correct. And this is
Okay.
this was intentional. It's Sandcastle Books, but we're definitely publishing 1 book at a time. So
That's right.
sandcastlebook.com. Mm-hmm.
And I noticed, I love your illustrations, and I noticed that you have the same illustrator for both of your second and third book.
Yes.
She is just amazing. Can we give her a shout out?
Yes, please let's give a shout out to Nana. Nana is so creative, as you could see. And what I love most, Mel, when we're out in the community doing community events, just promoting early literacy, because reading is fundamental. People will say to us, "Oh my God, Sandcastle Books, you guys really have Barnes and Noble's quality," and this just makes our hearts smile. Because
Hmm.
we really work really hard. When you're doing everything on your own, from marketing, publishing, it's a lot of work behind the scenes. It's a lot of work. But when you receive that support from your local community, even from educators and families in different states, it really warms your heart. And of course, the babies, they love it. We do read
Right.
alouds, and they're like, "Oh my God, is this me? This She looks just like me." Or he looks just like me. I'm like, yes, they get it. They could actually see themselves. So this is very rewarding, and we're grateful.
That is beautiful. And what are some of the things that you are doing in your community? I mean, I already know because you are my Facebook friend, so I know that you're doing a lot of things. But for those who may not know, what are the things that you're doing in your community?
So with the first book, we're really still continuing our campaign of male engagement and just encouraging men to be engaged in the lives of young children. And this will never go old, right? This will never go old. So we're still providing a message, the importance of male engagement and the differences and the impact it could have in the life of a child when a man is actually present, right? So this campaign will go on forever. And apart from that, Abigail in New York and myself, we do that dual community work where we go out in the community and try to read to different classrooms, different centers. Yes, it's so important to be an author, but I think at the end of the day, our message is really about promoting early literacy and
Mm-hmm.
parent engagement. Those two goes hand in hand, and it really makes a huge difference in a child's life. When you look at the data, when you look at the research, it shows that 1 in every 4 children in America by grade 3 does not know how to read. As an educator, we all are aware of the preschool to prison pipeline. So those we are looking at these numbers and we want to make a difference in our communities, right? It's yes, it's lovely. We are authors, but the message is really bigger than that. And that's what we're out here doing. Every chance I get, I volunteer my time. I try to do visits to childcare centers. They have different community agencies that will call me, the libraries, and say, "Come on, Kashama, do you have this data available? We would like for you to come talk about the process of becoming an author." But not only that, just encouraging young children how important it is and how fun it is to actually be able to read.
I love that when you're able to look at people, young people, older people as whole people. It's not
Right.
just about writing; it's about the message, and yet you've infused, different types of literacy aspects throughout the story, and
Mhm.
concepts to help young people, catch on to that literacy. And how have your own children? How do they think of you now as this published author, publisher? What do
So
they think about their mom?
yeah, so Carter, the 4-year-old, he he pays attention, but he will not say much right then and there. So when you least expect it, he knows because the books they of course they're on the side table in the bedroom. So they get to see it every night and the side table books all over. So when I think he was not aware in the past 2 years what's been going on, he's fully aware. He
Mhm.
asks the questions. When I ask the crowd, "Do you have any questions?" He the first person to raise his hand. And Mel, to be honest, he's usually on point with the question, and he knows mommy wrote a book, and I think he's really proud. Because when he out there, he'd be looking at me, just staring and blushing. So he knows. Kalia, she's aware. She was part of the entire process, and it's always a proud moment for her. She loved books just like I do. So reading comes natural for her, if that makes sense. So
Mhm.
it's well received. She tells her friends about me in school. She ensures to share that her mom is an author and she would like for my books to be present in her school library. And she stayed on her teachers until they actually got some copies for the library. And she was really proud. At the beginning of last semester, she said, "Mommy, guess what? Your book has become one of the most favorite books in our school." She said, "Whenever the younger grades are in the principal office, if I'm passing by, guess what book that they're reading? They're actually reading your book, Mommy." And the principal, he told me about that. He said, whenever, because we do have friends who struggle some days, and sometimes they just have to visit the principal's office. But they love the story when they get in there. To the point the principal said, "I think I have one little guy who's coming in my office just so that he could have your book."
That
Yeah,
is so beautiful. What a
yeah,
legacy. I love that. I mean, it's been a busy year for you.
it
Uh,
has
did
really
you
been.
did you expect when you first published your first book that it would turn into, three in a year, or that it would be you would have such a demand?
I had no idea. All I knew, and that I'm not sure if I ever shared with you, Mel, but the name Sandcastle Books is actually because I'm from an island. And on an island, we're surrounded with beautiful water, right? And we'll go to the beach on a regular, if we needed to be there, if we wanted to be there every weekend, that's what you do. It's within walking distance. And I always know as a child, my mom, she took me to the beach all the time. And I would just lay in the sand and I would dream. I would dream. And I must say, everything I've dreamt of, I've worked hard at accomplishing it. And this was actually on my list to become an author one day. And it's so important that we instill positive affirmations in young children and let them know you are capable, you're brave, you're strong, you could achieve anything. Those are the words I continue to hear, even through my adult um, education experience. So Sandcastle Books got the name from just coming being from an island and dreaming, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I did not think I would have 3 books out in 1 year. I knew I wrote that thesis, and I said to myself, one day I will really want to have an extension of my thesis because my thesis entitled An Examination of Fathers' Involvement in the Lives of Young Children. And the results, they were really intriguing. And I'm like, I need to write an extension just one day. And that's how the title came around. That is an
Mm-hmm.
Uncle Mind. And I had no intent to write 2 other books that soon, but I guess divine alignment, and you have to listen to your spirit, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
I do. My titles, it comes from within.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I sign a book, everybody look at me like, wow, she's really focused. The message comes from within. I feel everything, and that could be good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
But everything I do, I try to do it from a place of intent and deliver from a place of excellence. So yeah, so that's where I am a year later. I didn't think it, and I'm loving it. It's a
I
lot of
love it too. We're gonna get to what's come next in just a few minutes because I want to know like what's on the next, what's on the next playlist. But we'll talk about that in a second.
Mhm.
Your books are full of affirmations, and is that part of you? You just spoke of it. Is that do you want to make sure that every book that comes from your publishing company has that part, like that affirmation, as part of the story?
Yes, yes. And Abigail and I, we had a discussion about that about a week ago. We were meeting, and that's something that we would like to keep because every time we get feedback, the impact, oh my God, it's so positive and it's so touching. That's something we really want to keep.
Yes. Speaking of affirmation, we picked out before we went live, we picked out one of the affirmations that you have in your book, and I'm gonna hold up the illustration while you read. So this is a treat for
Okay.
those at home watching this.
Oh, yeah,
If
I
you don't
love
mind reading,
yes,
this is my favorite part of the book chat when authors read.
yes. And I actually love this page. So you picked a really good page. We all have great strengths and abilities. We have talents and skills and hopes and dreams. Though we are both different, you and me, please don't define me by the things that you see. I am different. I was not made wrong. Please treat me fairly because I belong. I am different. I was not made wrong. Please treat me fairly because I belong. I have a special need. Don't count me out. When you learn, play, dance, jump, sing, run, and shout. We all are unique, and that is okay. Guess what? Differences should never take kindness away.
Oh, I love that. And you can see, look at these beautiful illustrations. What
Yeah,
kid would not? I mean, I'm in my 40s and I just am like drawn to these beautiful illustrations. I love them. And like you said, representation matters for all of us. And even and we talk, on the outside is one thing, but also on the inside, the things that we don't see. And that's what makes
exactly.
your book even more special because you're addressing the exceptionalities that we don't always are don't even sometimes as grown people know how to address, and you just made an invitation for all of us to do this in a way that is very loving and kind. So good. I mean, just kudos to you and congratulations on such a beautiful
Yeah.
book.
And those are really real depictions of real children that I've encountered through my early childhood journey. Yes, just
So
wonderful.
these are young people in your life.
Yes, I've encountered one way or the other, and
Nice.
it, yes,
Do these special young people know that they are included, that they're the part of the characters?
yes.
I
Yes,
love it.
they
That's something that will stay with those young people forever and their parents and the people that love them too as well. So that's just beautiful.
yes.
Okay, so the next question is what's next? You knocked out 3 awesome books in 1 year. You
Mhm.
know this kind of the messaging that you want. What's on the next, you know?
So what's next for Sandcastle Books? I have so many big dreams. But as we all know, Rome was not built in one day. So definitely, I'm working on some projects right now that I want to do in my homeland, just to promote literacy,
Mhm.
especially early literacy. So that's one project, and the parent engagement piece as well. So I'm working on that tirelessly behind the scenes. And another thing too is just continue to build those connections. I think those connections within your community, it is so important. And not everybody understands. We're actually doing the groundwork. So we know the importance of the work that we do. But to somebody else, they may not even want to be bothered. But taking the time to actually explain that the children are our future and we should really pay attention. So I'm definitely continuing the work of being in the communities, networking, um, ensuring that families have the resources that they need, and also participating with different collaborations. Anything to do with early literacy. I did a program with Durham Public Schools recently, and just continue along those lines, but one day at a time.
Right. Well, there's no rush. I mean, 3 books is pretty amazing, and marketing, I know, is extremely time consuming
It
and
is.
hard. Are you looking and this because people ask me this all the time, only because I am, like, kind of in the publishing arena, are you looking for other authors?
Absolutely, absolutely. We're always and I think, Mel, when you master the craft, then you should be willing to share it with others, right? And we all have a story to tell. So of course, Sandcastle Books is always welcoming new authors, actually looking forward to place a book on the market. That's what we do.
That's
Also,
awesome. And if you go to Kashama's website, sandcastlebook.com, you're going to see all of the books that she has and just the, what you're looking for. So people ask me all the time that want to publish, and so you are actually a publisher that is looking. Of course, yeah, so that's just really cool to put out there. But did you think that, you wanted to be an author? So, but being a publisher is even bigger. Like you're like putting so much more. Uh, I
yes.
just I just think it's fascinating.
It is fascinating, and I get calls every other week. And I'm like, yeah, of course, why not? Let's sit down, let's look at the manuscript, use me as a resource, whatever. So, yes.
Yeah, that's great. And so your illustrator, are you hoping to like, do you guys have like, is she like kind of an in-house illustrator or
She
just,
is. We actually spoke a few days ago. She's just checking in to see how things are going. And I'm like, everything is going great. We're still doing live interviews, book chats, and just getting the message out there, especially about the two last books that was published. She actually illustrated both of it,
mm-hmm,
and she is really cool. She's really excited. She loved
yeah,
the whole message, and it's funny the books go hand in hand. And
they
all of
do.
this was divine alignment, Mel. It
Mm-hmm,
was truly divine alignment. I was calling Abigail because one thing I changed up that book so many times. If you were to see the rough draft, you're like, oh my God, from this to that. Because I'm very sensitive and I try to be in tune to other people's feelings as much as I can. And I did not want any of my writing or my pictures to depict something contradictory to the message that I was trying to portray, right? So I
right.
was calling educators, especially those specialized in special education. And Abigail Edmonds, she has a master's in special education, and I called her. I called a few other ladies, Sayana Edwards. Thank you so much. Leandra Reno. I met with Dr. Brenda Williamson, the chair of the education department at Durham Technical Community College, Catholic College Robinson. So I shared a draft with so many educators, Ashley Bunn, just trying to get feedback because I wanted to make sure I was not offensive in any way. And this is Abigail was like, "Oh my God, you're calling me and I'm over here writing." I said, "Really?" And she sent me her manuscript. And I said, "Abigail, we had a conversation. Everybody know I work really hard at making sure my work is perfect, right? Some people say I'm a perfectionist. I'm not sure." And I said, "Abigail, sure, we could really continue doing this. I'll put my project on the back burner." I was almost completed. That's why Abigail's book came out before mine. And I said, "I will dedicate my time to your book, but we need to start from scratch." So, and this is what we did. It was just a phone call calling about myself, and then I ended up taking up her project, and she was so excited. And up to a day like today, Abigail said this was the best decision she ever made, and it really established a long term friendship, long life friendship.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And both stories, all three stories, are just so
Yeah,
necessary in today's world. It's only these books would have been great, if just at any point in our time. So it's wonderful
thank
to have them now.
you.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And I hope that everybody will take a minute, visit sandcastlebook.com, look at the messaging, the affirmations, support these wonderful authors and this wonderful publisher. Because if you want to support small business, this is the way to go. If you want to support somebody who is making waves for literacy and communities
Yes.
and wanting to partner with parents, Kashama, you are doing an excellent job in all of that.
Thank
And
you.
you're more than just somebody that writes books. You're more than just somebody that just publishes books. You're really trying to be an integral piece of puzzle,
Yes.
and bringing people together and representing so many, especially in your, like you said, your home country. And
Yes.
I think you're amazing. So
Thank you,
congratulations for
Mel.
everything you've done in this last year. It's incredible.
Yeah, and thank you so much for having me here tonight. Thank you for having Abigail. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. You look wonderful, I
Oh,
must say.
listen, I told you that before we went live. I had to bring my A game because you, my beautiful, beautiful friend, is coming on. I knew I had to bring it because you are so amazing. More than I think that as I get older, I think we are whole people, and
Yes,
you and I are both celebrating that in our lives, the freedom that comes with being able to use our voice
yes,
and our talents for a purpose.
for
And
a
so I think
purpose.
that's why I'm drawn to you so much because I love the message that you bring. And if you are on Twitter, don't forget to follow Kashama at author K Leo Henry.
Mhm.
This is, of course, is being tagged on your Twitter, so you can retweet it if you'd like. But yeah, thank you for joining us tonight, everybody. We appreciate you. I've
Thank
got a
you.
whole amazing list of people coming for September every Wednesday night,
Mhm.
and if you want to find this book again, I want to give a shout out to sandcastlebooks.com and support a small business that is very worthy of your dollar. Any and Kashamba, before we say goodbye, do you have any last things you'd like to say?
I guess just want to say thank you. The support has been tremendous. And I'm so grateful that I like being an author, but what I love being most is the ability to serve my community, the ability to serve people every day. I think I'm a servant. I'm just here to
For
serve,
sure.
and I want to do it at the best of my ability. So for those who stand with me and they stand with me gracefully, they encourage me, and I think part of this is because I've learned to remain true to who I am. I always show up as my authentic self, and I'm well received, and I couldn't be more grateful. So thank you for cheering us on. Thank you for cheering on Sandcastle Books. We are so grateful. We look forward to continue doing great things, great things. So stay tuned.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye, Kashama. Don't drop off. We'll see.
Okay.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you, everybody.
Thank you.